My name's Nathan Shawna, as always. Today I'm joined by another guest. Today we got on Shawna Nichols from the Bubble. She was a DJ in the Bubble. She was a DJ for the Milwaukee Bucks. Still is a DJ for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now she's carrying on her career as a DJ on Twitch. We got Shawna Nichols today. I hope you guys all enjoy. Don't forget to check us out on Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere, Anchor. Check it all out and subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and leave a review of what you think. So hope you guys enjoyed today's episode with Shawna. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for getting me on.
Oh, no problem. I was looking forward to it. I remember seeing your post pop up on my on my Explore page. I'm so used to being on TikTok, I called it For You page, but I saw my Explore page one time and I was like, I got to get her on sometime. So I decided
Thank
to send
you.
her a message. But yeah, I'm glad to have you on. It's amazing.
Thanks, man. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Anyway, so I want to get started off with you DJ'd in the Bubble, you DJ for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now you're on Twitch. I mean, you've had so many shifts in your career, and I'm sure the Bubble might have been the biggest jump for you in a sense. But I mean, I loved watching you in the Bubble. I loved hearing your stuff in the Bubble. So, can I talk about what
Thank
was
you.
that moment like for you?
Being in the bubble,
Yeah.
very surreal. It's something that is still, to be honest, to try to like unpack because now it feels like a dream, because we're all back in the same space. We're all still dealing with today an election, a social justice movement, and a pandemic. And so when we were in the bubble, those things just were layered differently. We were still in the middle of a pandemic, but to be honest, the NBA took such good care of us from a health and safety standpoint. Wearing masks was just second nature. It was easy. It was just what we did. We were fortunate enough to get tested every single day, and it was almost as if the virus didn't exist because we were just so safe and we trusted each other when we followed the rules. And the NBA obviously was successful and just nailed it because we had zero positive like COVID tests. And so to then come back and assimilate back into real life where the virus very much exists, where I live in Wisconsin, where unfortunately our numbers continue to rise like no other in the rest of the world. And so it's just to have an opportunity to work and do something you're really passionate about and you love, and then to be one of 1,200 people like in Orlando at Disney at ESPN it was just such an incredible gift that I will hold on to forever.
One of the great things I thought you brought up there was the voting, and voting such an important thing of you. I mean, you even have that profile picture made of vote, and
Yeah,
I love those myself. Those are amazing.
thank you.
But how important to you is voting right now?
I think it's incredible. I've been inspired, and I guess to be very honest, as a human, the election 4 years ago really, really fired me up. I realized I wasn't informed enough, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I was somebody who used to say that I wasn't political. And I realized I had a lot of privilege in saying that I didn't ever want to like pick a side and offend anybody. And I realized in by being silent, I wasn't standing up for people that sometimes don't have a voice. And that's something that I have decided that I do, as not only as an athlete when I played basketball all the way through my professional career up until now to where I'm DJing. And even if it's one person that I can impact positively, I try to do that and to inspire them to be, because I don't fall into the normal category. I'm a female DJ in the NBA, which is rare. There's only three of us. I identify as gay, and so there's these outliers that I don't really fit into quote normal boxes. And so I want to continue to be a voice for people who don't have a voice. And this is the most political I've been. I've been working with Mix for Change, so I appreciate you like following me on Twitch and doing all that. That means the world, and trying to inspire people to vote. And we have numbers that have been crazy so far, that getting people that have voted early, whether that's like mail-in ballots or dropping off or voting early in person. And so I just think there's so much power in that. As being a woman, people fought for me to have the right to vote. And it's something that I think it's a privilege, and we all have a voice. And I believe that my voice matters, that your voice matters, that the people listening, their voice matters, wherever they fall. I think just voting is really, really powerful, to be knowledgeable and to make a vote that really you feel is going to make a difference and cast that ballot.
Yeah, not to mention this is one of the most important elections in history of the United States. And I remember right now in history class, I'm on the lesson. With only being 16, it's crazy doing this stuff because I'm still
I
sitting
bet.
here doing online classes. But no, it's in history class, we're talking about women's suffrage and how important it is women gaining those rights to be able to vote. And I think that's one of the key things, even in today's world, is women still don't have like pay equality is still one of the things women struggle with. And just what's your thoughts on women in society?
That's a good question, and I appreciate that you're so thoughtful about that. And I want to say that I commend you too, because I didn't know how old you were, but you're doing awesome, man. Like this is awesome to be a part of, and I'm proud of you. I know that might sound really silly, but you got a podcast at 16 and it's successful. Like I was just scrolling through your Instagram, like you're crushing it, and that's I wish I would have started when I was your age. And so kudos to you, and I'm excited to watch your journey grow because I think you have a very bright future. So please don't stop. But
I know for sure.
um, I think I am really fortunate that I have had amazing female role models in my life. And so my great grandmother helped raise me, who is no longer with us. So I grew up with her until I think my grandma passed away when I was 21. So that was my great grandma. So I had her for a lot of my life. Incredible woman, incredibly kind, loving, caring, compassionate. She was, I was born and raised Catholic, but this woman, the ultimate thing that she taught me was to treat others how you want to be treated. And it chokes me up, to be honest, because I just want to make her proud. I want to make the people who have influenced me proud. And then you add a layer onto that. My mom, who is with me still today, who I'm so fortunate to have in my life, is one of the most amazing women that I feel lucky to call mom. And then you add from a role model standpoint, she has worked her butt off to put my brother and I through private school from kindergarten through 12th grade. And just the sacrifices my parents both made to have a better life for us. And she continues to just blossom and explode and bring so much light to our world. And I know that I'm not the only one. So I feel it's been instilled in me that I can do anything I want to put my mind to. And sometimes it's hard to know if opportunities didn't arise because of who I am, whether that's, again, like I had mentioned, I identify as gay, or if it's because I'm a woman. I don't know, but I feel like every opportunity. So now I am so fortunate that I got to be in the bubble, and it gave me so much confidence. And that's something that I will carry with me because I know I can do it now. And that's something that I think helped identify myself, was that I want to help people like yourself, like see how amazing you are. And I have had people along the way see that light in me, and until it clicks inside of myself, it was something that, like, you need people to keep holding your hands and pick you up when you fall. Like, we can't do this stuff alone. So I think the power in the beauty in being a woman and having incredible female role models is just so inspiring, and I want to do my best to then hopefully lead people who are, behind, coming up behind me as well, because that makes my heart happy. It's like when kids look at me and they see something in me and they're like, yo, I can do that. If she can do that, I can do that. And that's my biggest thing, is like, I want you to be bigger and better and do bigger and better things than I've done. And I hope like I can help pave the path for you, for other kids, or even peers. Like, I think that's the coolest thing about being a woman, is I've gained this confidence in myself.
Yeah, and for sure, this should be more even confident booster for you. Is this is a monumental point for me with you being the first woman on the podcast I've had in the past
Thank you.
5 months of that. So this is a big thing for me, kind of being able to do this interview and being the first gay person I've had on the podcast as well. It's just all huge to me.
Thank
So
you.
I do want to talk about that a little bit, about the LGBTQ plus community, and
Yeah.
that's one of the big things you advocate for as well on social media. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you. Honestly, it means the world. And I was born this way. And that's something that it took me a while to be comfortable in talking about that, but I'm so proud of who I am. And again, I go back to how I was raised. And again, despite the fact I was born and raised Catholic, my family loved me no matter what. And I'm so grateful and so fortunate for that, because to feel like you can be safe and be who you are, it only helped me grow more. And so it's just such a gift to have that confidence and to look in the mirror and to know who I am, while every day I'm constantly evolving and growing. But then I like last week I worked an event for UW-Madison where I played basketball, and I had a student athlete reach out afterwards and tell me they've been following me on social media for like 2 or 3 years, and how much I inspired them to be themselves. They came from a small town. They identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community, and to not even know that that was happening is just really inspiring, and that like hits me right in my feels. And so that's the thing that I think about, is that when I was your age, I didn't have somebody talking to me about being different. I didn't have somebody talking to me about like, it's okay. Like we don't all have to follow this same guideline. Like we have different thoughts and different paths and different lanes. And so to know that like somebody who doesn't again fall into that path and that lane can be successful, I think is really, really cool. And I take it as such a huge honor and something that I don't carry very lightly. That I think very much through every single thing I post on Instagram, on Facebook, that I tweet, things I like on TikTok. Like I'm very conscious about the brand and like what I want to convey to the world. And it always comes back to like, I just want people to feel safe and loved and happy whenever they think about me as Shawna Nichols, as a human, or as DJ Shawna. And so the LGBTQ plus community is just obviously something that is I'm a part of, but I just love so dearly to my heart, because I wouldn't be who I am without them, and all the people that have come before me to pave this path so I can be here right now.
Yeah, no, you mentioned a great point, using your voice to kind of be an advocate for those who don't have a voice. Earlier when we talked about voting, and that's what you're doing now with LGBTQ plus as well. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's amazing because you look back at the past decade, how much more important LGBTQ plus has become, and people have been speaking out more about it, and celebrities have been coming out more about it, and it's just been this whole wave of suddenly people have been confident, and it's grown over time. And that's one of the amazing things I think about this is confidence and how much it takes for them and takes for you to come out. So
I do too.
I applaud you for that. And
Thank you, Nick.
but anyways, going on a little bit about DJing, how did you get started in this? What was originally your first motivational boost for that?
That's a great question. So after I graduated from Madison, where I played basketball, I was hanging out with my peers. So at the time, I was like 21, 22 years old. And as most 21, 22-year olds do, they go to bars and clubs and they like to drink. I have never drank alcohol in my entire life. It was something that I never had an interest for. It was something I wanted to avoid for personal reasons. I always had basketball. I always had sports. I always had things that were really motivating to me. And I wanted to always kind of be in control. And so while I was hanging out with my peers, I was hanging out with them in bars and clubs. I honestly didn't know what to do with my hands. And so I don't know if you've ever been around people who are drinking, if your peers are drinking, but if you don't have a drink in your hand, people like get uncomfortable. And I was like tired of dealing with that. Like, yo, Shawna, like why don't you have anything in your hand? Like, why aren't you drinking? Like, that's water. Like, and just tired of dealing with like just trash, candidly, like that. It was just like a waste of my time. So I started hanging out with the DJ, and there was this guy that a bar that I still DJ at when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, and I just started watching him, and I didn't even know, I knew nothing about it, Nathan, like nothing at all. I knew I loved basketball, I loved like hip hop culture, I loved like the idea of breakdancing, I loved the art, I love music, I love turntables, like, but I didn't know anything about DJing. I never was like, yo, I'm gonna be a DJ when I grow up, and that wasn't in my mind. I didn't know. And so I just started watching him for like week after week after week. Finally, probably after like 3 4 weeks, he looked at me and we didn't even talk. Like, that's a funny thing. It's like he's just working, I'm just watching, and he was amazing like on the turntables. And he looked at me one day and he was like, are you a DJ? And I wasn't as confident as I am now, and I just shook my head no. And then he like transitioned, he did a little like couple like beat juggles, and then came back and he looked at me, he's like, do you want to be? And I shrugged, and I was like, okay. And he said, well, call me when you get 2 turntables and a microphone and a mixer. And so the next day I went to a store downtown Milwaukee, and I got some beat up turntables, a microphone, and a mixer, and I called him, and he started like teaching me right away. And he became like the most incredible mentor I never knew I needed. And that was, we got to spend 2 years together, DJing, and he taught me everything that I'm still even learning now. Like he taught me then that sometimes I'm like, oh, that's what Rock D meant. Like just like a light bulb clicks, and I'm like, damn, like I didn't like, like the light bulb goes off. And so that's how I started. It was for fun. It was because I didn't drink alcohol, and I got to be social then. And I learned, are you an athlete?
Yeah,
You,
yes. I
okay.
swim and I golf.
Okay. So when I put my basketball jersey on, so maybe you feel this way. I loved who I was. I was number 40. Like I loved that persona. I was confident. Like you put a basketball in my hands, and I wasn't arrogant, but it was comfortable. It's just what I did. So when the basketball was like taken away and it was done, I didn't have something to fall back on. I didn't have enough confidence in me at the time as a person. And so DJing, when I got to be like, I'm air quoting DJ Shawna, that persona was so similar to putting my basketball jersey on. And I loved it. I got to be somebody different. I got to have fun. I got to like dance and sing and be silly and be outgoing. It was something that I don't do innately. It's not who I am, like just as Shawna, like just on a regular daily basis. And it was something that just continued to grow and snowball. And so that's how it started. I never drank alcohol, never did any drugs, started playing with turntables.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel. It's like one of the things I noticed being in high school, so many kids get involved in drugs and alcohol and smoking, vaping, and all that. And I just kind of sit there and like, it's just like a circle of just nightmares around me of all that. And I just kind of shake my head because I see what I want to do in the future is be working for ESPN, and I make sure to avoid all that because I want to stay as paid for I want to have fun, but I want to also stay paved for my path and follow that and not go out and venture out and do bad things. But yeah, like you said, putting on that persona, whenever I do this, it's like a persona for me. Or whenever I'd swim, put on that Speedo, the little tight Speedo, I put that on. It's like a whole new persona and just gives you a
Yeah,
whole new boost of confidence out there. And that's
that's
one of the things
awesome.
I love about doing this podcast is my confidence is raised to the roof. Like you would have asked me 5 months ago interviewing Trey Moses.
I saw that.
Yeah, you would have asked me 5 months ago whenever I interviewed him for the first time back in April. I was shy. I was unconfident in myself, scared to do it, sweating from my pits. And then now flash forward interviewing a DJ Shawna Nichols, and I'm sitting here interviewing you, and I'm kind of calm, collected, having fun with it, just talking like a normal one-on-one conversation. So
As
it's
it should
incredible.
be. Thank you. I'm proud of you, man. Seriously, that's one of the coolest things is I think being scared means you're doing something right. And I think that's what makes me really proud of you. Like I said, I'm excited to watch your journey continue to grow because you're on the right path, my friend. And it's not always going to be easy, and
Oh
you're going
yeah,
to
for
make
sure.
mistakes, but you're doing the right things, and I got your back. So whatever I can do, I got you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
anyways, back to the whole DJing thing. It's so you get the pandemic happens and it just kind of throws off everything. You're unsure about your job for a bit, and then
Right.
they propose the idea at the bubble. What as soon as the pandemic hit, what was that like for you?
It was scary. I mean, honest, like, right? We were all scared. We didn't know. Like, I think it's crazy right now that you're studying, you're in history class talking about, women's suffrage, and some kid right now that's 8 in 8 years is going to be in your shoes learning about coronavirus, from 2019, 2020. And you'll be like, yo, I was your age when that happened. And it's just weird to be living through this because we've never done this. And so that's the craziest thing. And so you talk about, you started this podcast, I think I like to always see the silver linings on things. And so when things shut down, I was scared. The NBA, so I remember I actually that first weekend in March, I was actually in Las Vegas. I was DJing for the women's Pac-12 basketball tournament. So I don't know if you're a women's basketball fan, but I got to watch Sabrina with Oregon play her last collegiate game because we didn't have the Final Four. And so I got to watch Oregon win a Pac-12 championship, which was amazing, and had a blast. But I was in Las Vegas, like as the virus is in the United States, like just is growing, and we're still in that like unsure phase. So I get home, I have an event a little bit north of Milwaukee on Tuesday. Wednesday, I get home and I'm preparing because the Bucks had a game on Thursday against the Boston Celtics. That Wednesday night is when the NBA shut down, is when on TV, on Twitter, when the NBA, when we had patient number 0, they're playing Oklahoma City Thunder, and who else was playing? Was it Pelicans?
It was
New
Jazz in
Orleans?
Oklahoma because it
Yeah,
was Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, excuse me. And yeah, so I was like, what? I had the game on in the background, and I'm getting ready for our game on Thursday. And all of a sudden, it's like literally just watching this unfold in front of me. It was the moment. It was a similar moment, like when we found out Kobe died. It was like you just couldn't refresh Twitter fast enough. You're like, it's got to be fake, right? And like all of them, these credible sources are saying like this is real, and that's how I learned. Like it just crumbled. So that first week is a little bit of a blur because again, like I have no idea what happened. But then I decided, I was like, well, if this is going to be the case, then I'm going to figure something out. And so I started to try to figure out how to live stream, and I learned a lot about copyright laws and infringement. And so as a DJ, when I play somebody else's music, I can't go live on Facebook because it's not legal. And so I learned that real quick. So I learned a whole new program. I learned OBS, which is just amazing from like a production standpoint. I learned how to live stream. I learned how to like make overlays, essentially produce my own show and have it sound great. And I started doing virtual events. The bubble happened, and that changed my life because then I got to go back to doing what I knew how to do, and just like, this is what I do as a DJ. And then it's just crazy how things have just continued to evolve, and we grow and evolve as humans. We develop tolerances, and I put my mask on, I go to my brother's garage and work out, and I come home and I work, and like it's kind of my everyday thing. But it's very crazy to think how many industries have been hit so hard. And I just hope that we continue to stay strong and we get through this, but it's not easy. It's scary.
Yeah,
And you're in virtual high school. Like,
yeah, I love that you brought up Kobe, because it's like you said earlier, we're living in an actual history textbook right now. It's
I know.
Kobe and Gigi, even the wildfires in Australia at the beginning of 2020. I can't believe that happened. Yeah, it's just so many things have unfolded in this crazy and insane year. It's like you look forward to 2021. It's like, oh man, things better start slowing down.
I don't know that we could take another year of this. Like, that's what's crazy is that it's November. We've been doing this since like literally like January. Like from an NBA standpoint, they hit like from January, just hit after hit after hit. And so it's just like there's gotta be a breaking point, right? Like there's gotta be some give somewhere.
Yeah, in basketball terms, are ready for the off season now. But
right.
but I love how you brought up Kobe and Gigi. I love that you brought that up. And how did that kind of impact you? Because you're big into basketball. You're DJ for the Bucks, obviously. And how did that impact you?
It hit me hard because, so I will admit, I think Kobe is a great player. But I didn't grow up watching the NBA, and so I wasn't there. Like, but I know obviously, like I studied him. I had moves after him. He was inspiring. I loved who he started to become, and hit his last, I would say 10 years is probably when I really jumped on the Kobe train. And what I really, really loved, and it's kind of selfish, was one of my favorite Kobe moments was when a reporter asked Kobe, you don't have any sons. Who's gonna like continue your legacy? And Gigi was standing next to him, and he looked down, and now this brings it full circle. He had all the confidence in the world that Gigi was going to carry on his legacy, and it didn't mean any less because she was a girl. And that is like powerful. It's inspiring when guys candidly like that really step up and fight for equality and fight for something that just like women's basketball, women's sports in general get trashed on the internet. I mean, we could go and talk, like look at WNBA Twitter and how many people just are fighting on their keyboard about going making sandwiches and just making stupid comments. So it's hard. I think it was incredible to see the influence he had on women's basketball from the like he was wearing the orange hoodie before it was cool. He was on the sidelines of WNBA games with his daughters before it was cool. And he was really setting that precedent. You know, the relationship he had with Sabrina Ionesco and other players, like, and all these other female basketball players. And so I loved who he was becoming and growing into after being just this iconic basketball player and doing things that, you know, other people hadn't done on the basketball court, but he was carrying that off the court. And to lose an icon like that, to lose an incredible man, you know, it's just heartbreaking on so many levels. And his daughter, obviously.
Well, I do want to say real quick before we close this off, your career, it's already amazing. And you said you've been doing this for 2 years now, or how many years?
Well, I've been DJing actually longer than you've been alive, now that I think of it. That's kind of scary. I've been DJing for like 17 years. And so, but I've been in the NBA. This was my 4th season, but this was my first year as the Bucks official DJ. So this was the biggest year I had as a DJ by far. And then COVID happened.
So by by the time your career is all said and done, where do you expect to be, or where do you expect it to end off at?
That's one of my favorite things about COVID is I'm actually I'm producing my own music. I'm making my own songs. I'm learning a lot. Like I said, I'm working on my skills when it comes to being a DJ. I'm on that side of things. I'm learning, and I want to see how far I can take this. I got to open last summer, not this summer, but last summer. I got to open for Lizzo at the world's largest music festival. I've had an opportunity to headline Pride. I just want to see how far I can go, and I want to do this until it makes sense. And so I would love to get to the Olympics if that's a possibility from a DJ standpoint. I always wanted to play as a kid, and that's kind of past, but I would love to get an opportunity to go to the Olympics and work and to be there. That's definitely on my list of like things I want to accomplish. But I want to start making my own music, and hopefully it can make people happy and bring some joy to people's lives.
Well, Shawna, I want to thank you for coming on. I really
Thank you.
This is such a monumental point for me, being able to interview the first woman on my podcast and interview the first person that's gay on my podcast. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Me, so
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Keep working hard.
Thank you. I will. Anyways, that's all for the Shot Clock Podcast. Check it out on Apple, Spotify, or anything else on Instagram at Shawna Nichols, and we're out.